The Locked On Podcast Network presents the Big 6 in 60. The 6 biggest national sports stories from the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Get the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big 6 in 60 starts now with the biggest story in sports.
8 wins in a row, the best start since 2019. The Pats get the job done on Thursday Night Football.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast.
They just keep winning. They just keep winning. They just keep finding ways to win. Short week, coming off the road from Tampa. You get in late on Sunday night. Quick turnaround, right? You come in late Sunday night. You have to get ready for the football game coming up in just a couple of days. You've got to get your treatment. You've got to get the game plan. You've got to get right to work. A short week after a road game. And then you walk into Thursday night. And again, I know it's the Jets, but this is a divisional game. Divisional games are usually tough. This is the 11th straight football game the Patriots have played. They haven't had a bye. They won't have a bye until week 14. They've played now 11 straight games. Think about the physical toll, the mental toll. And then you've got a short week. You got to show up on Thursday night and try to win a physical football game. You're missing 4 key players: Austin Hooper, Ramondre Stevenson, Kayshon Boutte, Christian Ellis. And then on top of that, you lose Milton Williams early in this game. He came back for a series or so, but he was out for the vast majority of this game. Milton Williams has been by far your best defensive player this entire season. He has been by far your best defensive player over the past 4 or 5 weeks. It hasn't even been close. Milton Williams has been individually responsible for 6 or 7 impact plays every single week, and you lose him early in this game. But you just keep fighting. You just keep showing everybody how mentally tough you are. Adversity has not been a big deal to this team. And I think it starts at the top with Mike Vrabel. Remember when Mike Vrabel was introduced as the Patriots head coach? What did he say? Vrabel said a lot at that press conference, but one of the things that he said that stood out and everybody talked about was you've got to get to the point where you can take advantage of bad football. And that's what the Patriots did tonight. You don't have to be a perfect team if you take advantage of bad football. And the New York Jets gave you enough bad football that you could take advantage and walk away with a 13-point win. The Jets had a couple of crucial penalties. They had a couple of busted coverages. They had, of course, the bad snap, the turnover that hurt my prediction for tonight's game. I had it 23-13. It would have been 24-14 if not for that bad snap. But hey, couldn't care less. Patriots have now won 8 in a row. But they took advantage of bad football. Mike Vrabel has accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And of course, this team can accomplish a lot more. But 11 games in at 9-2, first place in the AFC East, the best record in the NFL right now, he has accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He has gotten to the point with this team that they can take advantage of bad football and they make you pay. Meanwhile, the Patriots, only 2 penalties tonight. 2 penalties for 20 yards. Remember at the beginning of the year where the Patriots were getting 7 penalties, 9 penalties, 10 penalties? And we talked about, they're winning games. They're still finding ways to win, but their discipline isn't great. They've got to get disciplined. They can't be, getting flagged 7, 8 times because that's going to come back and haunt them. Tonight, again, on a short week, going out there, and that means a lot because on a short week, when you're physically and mentally drained, that's kind of when you get lazy. That's when you get sloppy. And you would expect, that's why Thursday Night Football is usually a very sloppy game because teams are just mentally and physically fatigued. And they start grabbing guys. They start making mistakes. They start playing outside of their own brains and bodies. But tonight, on a short week, the Patriots were focused. It wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but that doesn't matter. 2 penalties for 20 yards. That's a really good job on a short week. They were disciplined against the trick play, right? The little wide receiver end around into the pass to the quarterback. all over it. Caleb Chason, fantastic discipline. How about the screen pass against Breece Hall? We talked about it during the crossover and how Breece Hall took a screen pass against Cleveland, 42 yards to the house for a touchdown. They try to throw the screen tonight. Jack Gibbons, who was really good against the screen game in Tampa, Jack Gibbons makes a fantastic play against Breece Hall for a 2-yard loss. Two flags for 20 yards, discipline against the trick play, discipline against the screen game. And we talked about the special teams, and you don't want to give the Jets any extra yards. You don't want to give them free yards. You don't want to give them any kind of free points, so to speak. Mike Vrabel talked about it on Monday with the media. He said, this special teams of the Jets is incredible. And he wasn't just blowing smoke. DVOA coming into week 11, DVOA has the Jets as the best special teams in the entire league. The Patriots disciplined on special teams. Their coverage tonight was fantastic, capped off by Brendan Schooler and Charles Woods late in this game, getting a punt return down at the 15 with a nice tackle. I mean, we are sitting here on November 14th, 12:12 a.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube, Locked On Patriots. We are sitting here talking about a team that has now won 8 straight games and is 9-2. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible by Mike Vrabel and company. I was thinking tonight watching this game as Drake May is just kind of calmly slicing and dicing the defense. Can you imagine how Drake May felt tonight walking into this game, looking at that Jets defense, looking at that Jets secondary after facing Cleveland, Atlanta, and Tampa? All 3 of those teams, top 15 in DVOA defense, some good defenses, tons of pressure, top-notch players like Myles Garrett. Drake May must have taken a huge deep breath and released it out and exhaled and said, I can do this. I can do this. I thought Drake May was great tonight. 25 of 34, 281 yards. He didn't throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns, but I thought he was great. 0 turnovers again, which is nice to see. He did have that one throw that was deep into double coverage that was a little bit dicey, but that football came out of his hand differently. It just looked weird. And when Amazon Prime showed the replay of that deep throw to Kyle Williams, it was a little bit of a duck. It just looked like it left his hand differently. I don't know what happened with that throw. There was a little bit too much air underneath it. He had Kyle Williams. But I mean, he was mostly tremendous tonight. Passer rating of over 100 again, 107.6. And it's every single week. It's every single week that he's just giving you elite plays. Second quarter, second Patriots drive, because the first Jets drive took, it felt like 45 minutes. 3rd and 7, shotgun formation, hits Hunter Henry on a crossing route, 10 yards, move the chains. 2nd and 12, shotgun formation, empty set. That's the play where Drake May extends, finds Mac Hollins in the middle of the football field. No big deal on a 2nd and 12. Third quarter, Patriots offense, their second drive of the second half, 2nd and 8 under center, play action, extends the play, finds Stephon Diggs for a chunk play of 22 yards. 1st and 10, shotgun, play action, extends, finds Diggs for, 16, 17 yards. He's sitting there playing around with the sideline, improvisational skills through the roof. Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels, comparing Drake May to, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, come on now. Does it get any better? 3rd and 10, shotgun, third quarter, third drive in the second half for the Patriots. Drake May gets blitzed, finds Pop Douglas, crossing route against Jarvis Brownlee for 26 yards. Like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 2nd and 12, it doesn't matter. He just keeps making plays. Now, real-time watching, I thought Drake May was mostly great in the pocket tonight. Showed poise, showed really good subtle movement inside the pocket, north, south, east, west, and didn't look rattled, did not look rattled, kept his eyes down the field. I mean, there's only so many things that you can say about this young man. I'm running out of adjectives. I'm running out of superlatives. I'm running out of bouquets to throw at his feet. He just continues to play great football. I don't want to say he's, Brady-esque, but my guy, Jeremy Underhill, says, do we have a count on how many beers were thrown at the Brady statue? Yes. How about Adrian, still awake at 6 in the morning in Austria? Shout out to Austria, going to work now, energized by the win. Get through work. Get through work, my man. So, great job by Drake May yet again. Let's get to Travion Henderson, though. You don't win these last 2 games if it wasn't for Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson has helped you win the last 2. And what you're seeing is a rookie who's finding his legs. He's finding his sea legs. I talked about it through the first 7-8 weeks. You could always tell when the game is going a little too fast for a rookie running back, right? Because they tend to kind of run up the backs of their offensive linemen. They're just trying to just go straight ahead. They're not showing any patience. They're kind of scattered a little bit, and they're not allowing their blocks to get set up, and they just want to get the football and run like they're like shot out of a cannon. And you saw that from Travion Henderson a decent amount through the first 7 or 8 weeks. There was that impatience that happens to a lot of rookies. And I try to say and pound home the point of be patient with Travion Henderson. He's a really talented guy. He's a rookie. This stuff happens. You got to give him time to figure out the speed of the game. And it really feels like, going back 2 or 3 weeks ago, it really started before the Tampa game. The patience is now there, right? And you saw it tonight. The patience. The fact that he's not trying to outrun his offensive line. He's showing the patience. He's showing the explosiveness. He caught a couple of checkdowns tonight. Great job by Drake May to utilize the checkdown, which he hasn't always done consistently this year. He did that tonight. Fantastic job. Take the profit, get the yards where you can get them. Using Travion Henderson as a receiver out of the backfield. And, of course, the touchdown catch. Gets both feet in, backpedaling, 3 touchdowns.
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
The Jets' loss to the Patriots on Thursday Night Football shows that the team's recent 2-game winning streak was a mirage.
You are Locked On Jets, your daily New York Jets podcast.
The Jets' Thursday Night Football loss to the New England Patriots. New England beat the Jets last night in a very workmanlike performance, 27-14. On today's show, we're going to talk about everything that went wrong for the Jets. The offense was once again pretty bad. We could be to the point where the Jets will make a quarterback change. The defense was just brutal. Guys who had been playing reasonably well did not show up. But we're going to begin by talking about the bigger picture implications of this game. And it's not that I want to let anybody off the hook. I don't. It's not that I want to make excuses. I don't. This was not a good performance by the New York Jets. But I do think we need to take a step back right now and think about where the New York Jets are as a football team. This is not a team that in any way could have been expected to go up to Foxborough and beat the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And you heard on our crossover show yesterday with Nick of Locked On Patriots that the path for the Jets winning this game were things like, well, it's a short week and well, it's a divisional game. And in the NFL, anything can happen. I think everybody knows that if you put these two teams across from each other 10 times, New England's going to win most of the time. The Patriots probably win 7 to 8 times. The Jets were by no means expected to win this game. And that goes into where these teams are respectively. The Patriots, and it's unfortunate to say from a Jets perspective, are one of the best teams in the league. And the Jets are a team that once again is rebuilding. The Jets are a team with a long-term horizon. The Patriots' time seems to have arrived this season. And the Jets were a team that started from a pretty bad place and just traded away two of their best players a couple of weeks ago. And the Jets made those moves with the long term in mind. The Jets were trying to set themselves up for a better future. It very well might be that those trades that acquired the picks in exchange for Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner will help this team over the long run. But in the short run, these moves clearly hurt the team. There was no question about that. And I think it may have been tempting to draw conclusions when the Jets won 2 straight games, particularly the game last week against the Cleveland Browns without Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. And yes, there are some cases where, even if you lose talent, you don't become a worse team. The NFL is a league where it is a team game. And, sometimes the most talented team doesn't always win. But when you take 2-star players off a football team, you make the team worse. And we saw that in this game. I mean, the Jets could not cover anybody. Sauce Gardner would have come in handy. Quinnen Williams would have come in handy, considering the Jets had a lot of issues getting to Drake May. Drake May pretty much had all day to throw. The Jets pass rush did not show up. And, this is not excusing the guys who played poorly. We're going to get to them in a little bit. But I think it's important to understand where these teams are respectively. The Jets are where New England was 2 years ago. The Patriots are where the Jets hope they will be 2 years from now. And it's very, very frustrating if you're a New York Jets fan to watch the New England Patriots go from being a dynasty, falling to the bottom of the league, and then rising again to the top of the league in a span where the Jets are consistently at the bottom of the NFL. And it's not fun to watch a division rival have the success the New England Patriots have, particularly watching the Patriots develop a quality young quarterback in Drake May, who could be in the MVP discussion this year. And I'm very hesitant to anoint any young quarterback 2 years into his career. But what I will say is that Drake May has exactly the kind of trajectory you want. He has the kind of trajectory you want any quarterback the Jets draft over the next 2 years to have. The Jets are simply not there yet. This is not a team that's talented enough. And if you want to get mad at the Jets, get mad at the Jets for the decisions that they've made that have landed them at this place. And there's no simple explanation for how they got here. We know that all the ill-fated moves around the Rodgers years played a role in it. We know that the owner has a lot to do with it. We know that there are things that happened before that. We know that we've been in an era of 15 years of futility where the Jets have made mistake after mistake after mistake. And this current regime, this current head coach, this current GM, they aren't responsible for that. This is year one where they are trying to really turn things around. They're trying to start a new era of Jets football. And I think they knew going into the season it was going to be rough. Now, you never wanted to start 0-7. You didn't want to be 2-8 right now. But the good thing is that over the last couple of weeks, we have seen things start to stabilize a bit, where they're at least showing some signs that they know what they're doing. They're showing some signs that this is not going to be some sort of historic failure. That's very different from saying that the New York Jets have completely turned things around. And I think that if you believed that 2-game winning streak was a sign that everything was fixed and that the Jets were well on their way, this game should have been a wake-up call to you. But I don't think you ever should have viewed things in that way. This Jets team clearly has a very, very long-term trajectory right now. They clearly have a very, very long-term outlook. It's not about the here and now, because it can't be. We talked in Monday after the Jets beat the Cleveland Browns, and that performance against Cleveland was impressive from the standpoint that the Jets won a game, and wins are not easy to come by in the NFL. But that performance the Jets put in against Cleveland was probably good enough to beat maybe like 5 of the other 31 teams in the league. And the Jets just happened to be playing the Cleveland team, a Cleveland team that was one of those 5 teams. that effort the Jets put in against Cleveland was not going to be good enough against New England. And they went up to Foxborough and played worse than they did against Cleveland. And again, like, I'm not letting people off the hook. A little bit, we're going to get to the players who did not show up on defense. We're going to talk about the failures on offense. There were some really, really ugly moments in this game. There were some really, really ugly performances for the New York Jets. But before we got to any of that, I think it's really, really important to discuss the state of the team right now, because it would have been great for the Jets to go up there and beat the Patriots. It would have been great to get a win against our rivals in Foxborough. It just wasn't very realistic right now for where this football team is. This is a team that's rebuilding. And in a lot of ways, this team has been rebuilding for the last 15 years. So I know nobody wants to say it. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, they kind of laughed at this because they really summed up the absurdity well, where Jets fans need to be patient. Well, Jets fans have been nothing but patient. Jets fans have been the most patient fan base in the league. We've been waiting 15 years for a winner. And you could argue we've been waiting since 1969 for a winner, and we still haven't gotten it. But the way the team is built right now, I mean, it was going to be a very, very difficult task to go up to Foxborough and beat a Patriots team that unfortunately looks like it's a Super Bowl contender this year. Hopefully in a couple of years, the Jets will finally have a front office and a coaching staff that gets a rebuild right. And maybe in a couple of years, the Jets will play a Thursday night game against some other team, maybe the division rival Dolphins, who are at the beginning of their rebuild, and the Jets will beat them handily. And whoever hosts that team's podcast can give their fan base the speech that I'm giving Jets fans right now. But right now, the Jets are really far off. And that 2-game winning streak did not change it. The Jets made moves that very well could benefit them in the long run, but there clearly was a short-run hit. And that short-run hit came with a team that wasn't very good to begin with. So very important stuff to keep in mind as we dissect what went wrong in Foxborough this weekend. Now, I had you on the Locked On Jets podcast. Let's start talking about the guys who did not show up. It was a really bad defensive performance by the New York Jets.
We learned a lot after the punishments Michigan State was dealt. Some of it murky, some of it clear.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We still got a lot to clean up here from these allegations that turn into punishments for Michigan State football here, because it wasn't just enough to talk about it for one show here. I want to talk about everything, this whole saga, not just the punishments themselves, but how MSU even got into this mess, what this has really taught us, what this has told us. And for me, it's told us three things. Now, two of them are murky. Like, one of them I'm really going to need some help on, guys, but one of them is crystal clear. We'll save that one for the very end, because what fun is it just to state the obvious. Now, the first things first, and this was, the big sub-storyline coming out of this punishment, Michigan State's lack of fight, I guess, borderline agreement with this punishment is that, this was possibly a way to get out of just paying Mel Tucker and his something in the ballpark of $80 million. Now, of course, you might say to yourself, isn't it pretty obvious that this guy was fired for cause? Like, why would they be in jeopardy of paying him this money anyway? Like, what he confessed to, what he did, the damage he caused this university, that should be enough to get you out of that payment, shouldn't it? Look, I'm incredibly far from... Actually, there might not be a person in your life further from being a lawyer than myself, but I do know this. It never hurts to run up the score in the court of law. So is this just another pin on the tail of the donkey as far as court proceedings go? Sure, yeah, very possibly could have been the case here. And look, maybe that seemed obvious because Michigan State, they didn't fight back. Yeah, sure, they voiced displeasure in their statement, but let's all remember, if you want to be real salacious about it, if you want to wear this tinfoil hat and say this, Michigan State self-reported all of this, basically. Now, did they self-report it in order to further themselves from this $80 million payment that they'd have to give Mel Tucker? Truly, who knows? I don't know. Or was it a situation where along the way they're realizing, my God, look at all these things that we are discovering and are about to bring to the NCAA. Well, wouldn't this just be convenient? So yeah, that's one route that you could look at this, right? Is this why Michigan State was the one that went to the NCAA and they were so forthcoming with all the information? Sure. I guess. But, like, here's where it gets murky. Like, you still could have had Mel Tucker dead to rights on all this. Like, you still could have had the NCAA come out and say, oh my God, this evidence is terrible. Look at all these level 3 violations. Hey, here's some show causes. Hey, here's some recruiting restrictions. Hey, here's a fine that will barely come out of your bottom line. Like, if you just had that, that's great. The vacated wins, and I get it, save your jokes or save them. Like, it's barely any wins, unfortunately, the last 3 years. Like, okay, that's where it gets like a little like too far. Again, are these wins, are these seasons that Michigan State fans are just going to be crying over? Not necessarily, but like, what? Hold on, what? That seems a little too far. I think you still could have gotten out of all this without such a strict punishment. I mean, what happened was overboard, but I guess it met MSU's goal. So, look, was it worth fighting? I don't know. Like, you had to vacate wins over $10,000 worth of hotels and flights that amounted to 3 kids committing and generated hardly any wins after those kids committed. I guess, I mean, especially, and I understand it too from the Michigan State fan side of things, and I was like this too for a little bit, like an hour or so, but I mean, yeah, we were forthcoming with our information, right? I mean, we were very cooperative. These were level 3 violations. Like, who cares? And also, we're getting our wins vacated. Well, the program down the road, they have a multi-year on-field cheating scheme. They destroy their evidence. They don't cooperate. And all the NCAA does is, well, guess we can't get them. Oh, well, here's a fine. Here's some show causes for guys that won't have any interest in coaching in college anyway. So, yeah, of course, that's the underlying storyline. And the absurdity gets the cherry on the top, of course. You know, that Central Michigan game. Hey, one team has a guy on their sidelines disguised as a coach that's actually from the other team's rival school. And the other team just playing, you know, a few guys that stayed at the Marriott on Michigan State's dime. And one of those schools had to vacate that game, and the other one, just all they had was a few show causes and a fine. It's Looney Tunes. It's crazy. And I guess the saddest realization that I had is, obviously, you know, I get fired up when I talk about it, but I don't know. If this happened like 5-10 years ago when there was a lot more energy for Michigan State football, when there was like, I don't know, something called hope and happiness, I'd be so fired up that I wouldn't be laughing through talking about it, right? Like, I probably would have used this platform right here to like call for horrible things to be done for things or for people that work in the NCAA. Like, I would have been fired from this podcast, which would have led to me being fired from my 9-to-5 job for the things that I said, which probably would have led to a lawsuit. But like, I couldn't care any less past 1 hour after this news dropped. That's how much I've just been crushed the last few years, where whether it's just MSU's product on the field, and yes, I will still watch, I will still root, I still bleed green, but like, oh my God, like, there's no hope anymore. There's no energy. And the other half is, well, that's just the NCAA for you. So, past me, I would have been so angry you couldn't have even believed it. But this one, yeah, I'm definitely annoyed. I was a little peeved for about an hour or two, but I didn't lose a wink of sleep last night, guys. But instead, we're looking within. We're seeing what we've learned from this whole thing. And here's murky thing number 2 is what we have learned. And this is what I need your help on, guys. Is like, what does this do for Jonathan Smith's future? Because behind door number 1, like, whew, my God, what a dirty door to look behind here. Look, there's this big buyout hanging over Jonathan Smith. I think that J-Bat would like to go on to the next regime. He didn't hire Jonathan Smith. He wants to go on to the next thing as much as the majority of Michigan State fans do, I think. But by God, is that buyout pretty big? Well, hey, I don't think that this will happen. But, like, I did hear it, whether it was the radio, whether it was message boards, or, like, just conversations with friends. Like, hey, 2024, Jonathan Smith did technically play some of those ineligible kids. Is that enough to get out of some, if not all of that buyout? Now, that's behind door number 1. That would be an incredibly scumbag way to part ways with Smith. But hey, you know what else is scummy? College football. Business. But anyway, I'm more intrigued behind door number 2. Because does this actually cement that Smith will indeed be back for a third year. Now, as much as you don't like to hear it, hear me out. Because look, what are you selling to the next guy? Hey, come on by. It's a disaster here. We haven't won a Big Ten game in God knows how long if you look at the record books. And even if you do want to count those vacated wins, hasn't been great shakes here. And, to help you get out of that hole, you're going to inherit some recruiting violations, some restrictions, some like a notch down in a few recruiting weeks. And our budget's going to be a little smaller. The optics around Michigan State aren't that great. But, hey, come and get this job. While there are so many other great jobs out there available too. Like, is this a situation where now things are just in such haywire for Michigan State where actually Smith's, well, okay, well, I guess we're stuck together. You're not going to leave us. Why would we leave you right now? We're all we got right now. Let's just see what happens for this next year. So, or is it behind door number 3? Does none of this really matter? And Jonathan Smith will be excused at the end of the season. J-Bat will come up with the $32 million anyway. We'll be able to schmooze some guy despite everything going on. I don't know. That's one storyline that, I need a lot of help on forming an opinion on, because it could be any 3 of those doors. Just a real scummy escape hatch, but an escape hatch. Solidifying that Smith is coming back, because who on God's green earth would want to come here at this point? Or number 3, is this just this small blip on the radar that will be forgotten about in a week or two?
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
BYU basketball starting forward Kennard Davis Jr. was arrested yesterday by Provo police.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Right out of the chute, let's talk about what we know, the facts, as they say. And any of you who may be upset that I'm talking about this, understand that this is a legal matter. This is not honor code. This is not a civil lawsuit. They are different because when it comes to situations like this is a matter of public record. And it involves a car accident, because Provo police responded to a car accident at approximately 11:45 a.m. Mountain Time, according to a press release that came from the Provo Police Department. While responding to said crash, officers, quote, found reason, unquote, to arrest one of the drivers. That would be 20-year-old Kennard Davis Jr. for, quote, suspected DUI. That's driving under the influence. Now, Davis obviously is a BYU basketball team member, transferred from Southern Illinois, started the 2 games he has played for BYU, he's been a starter for. He sat out Tuesday night against Delaware with an undisclosed injury. And the situation at hand here is that DUI, it covers a myriad of different things, because DUI means driving under the influence, but it doesn't specify alcohol, painkillers, marijuana, other illicit drugs. So when the facts come out on that, we'll delve more into that. But let's acknowledge right up front right now that this is a really, really tough look for the BYU basketball program, because I can tell you that BYU is very, very cognizant of its image, as they should be, as every university should be. But BYU, being a religiously affiliated institution, obviously sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they pay, a little more attention to how things are being looked at out there among the general populace, as it were. And having a player on one of your most premier programs, speaking in BYU parlance, it's football and it's men's basketball. They are the front and center athletic programs for BYU, Brigham Young University. And to have a player arrested for DUI in the aftermath of an accident, it's not a look they want, speaking of BYU. Now, there are going to be more facts that come out on this. Provo police have told reporters like Jay Drew, etc., that they will release the full findings from the officers who responded to this incident, and it could come out as soon as today, Friday. Now, I will also acknowledge this for those of you who are unaware. I am recording this at approximately 11 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday night. This is coming out Friday morning early. So in the interim, new news could have come out. So understand that I'm giving you what I have in the moment I'm recording this podcast. There will be developments and we will cover them as they come right here on Locked On Cougars. But it is a bad look for BYU. They do not want to have stuff like this, especially when it comes to the BYU men's basketball program and all the headlines they made in the offseason, all the waves they made when it came to NIL, adding the likes of a guy like A.J. DeBonsa to this roster. Kennard Davis Jr. in his own right was a fairly highly thought of addition that BYU brought in via the transfer portal because they saw him as a perfect fit as a 3-and-D guy, for lack of a better term, on this roster. What is his status going forward? That remains unresolved. The statement from BYU that we were given in the media said that we are aware of the allegations and looking into the situation, unquote. No definitive declaration of what's going on, Kennard Davis Jr.'s status. Heck, I tried to find out on Thursday night if, in fact, Kennard Davis Jr. was on the team jet that flew to Boston yesterday ahead of their matchup against UConn tomorrow. And I was unable, as of recording this podcast, to confirm if he was or not. That will ultimately come out, I'm sure, relatively quickly because either he's going to be spotted, in Boston with the team, or we'll find out more information via the proper channels. But let me reiterate, it's a black eye for BYU, and they're going to have to handle this with the utmost care. Now, could it be DUI for a number of different things? Yes, it could be, but those details are lacking at this time. So you're going to take a PR hit. That's just a simple fact of what BYU is in this modern age of social media. There are anonymous troll accounts who want nothing more, and I'm sure that they're already have been doing it overnight. They're going to be absolutely denigrating, tearing down Kennard Davis Jr., BYU men's basketball, and anything else associated entity-wise with it. So it'll be interesting to see when the ultimate police report comes out, what it entails, why police found fit to arrest Kennard Davis Jr. We'll see what ultimately he faces in terms of legal situations, because he was cited and then released, because a lot of times when it comes to DUI, you are cited, but BYU is really, really careful with all this, because also running afoul of the law of the land is also going to put you in the crosshairs of BYU's honor code as a student, because obviously BYU's honor code prohibits consumption of alcohol, illicit drugs, and the like. So it's a really, really delicate matter, and I don't want to, I'm trying to just play it right down the middle here. I did this with the Jake Retzloff situation earlier this summer. If I was doing a podcast back in the era of Brandon Davies, who some of you, trust me, I've gotten some comments that it feels like deja vu a little bit with the Brandon Davies situation. Understand that I'm just trying to give you the simple facts of what's going on. Now, coming up next, BYU does have a showdown against UConn tomorrow. It's a top 10 matchup. It's one of the premier games on BYU's schedule. I'm talking as a whole. A guy like A.J. DeBonsa was very eager to go back home and play in front of his hometown fans because he grew up about 40 minutes south of Boston in a town called Brockton, Massachusetts. And this obviously mars what should be a celebrated top 10 showdown. And so we're going to step aside from the Kennard Davis situation, just understanding that there is a whole lot of loose ends that are unresolved out there. Understand that, and we will cover them as they come on that front.
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
The Phoenix Suns give another team BTA, plus the Suns get their 5th straight win.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast.
Wow. Was that a euphoric feeling tonight? Not was it just that, was it a sentimental feeling tonight? A bit nostalgic, if you will. I want to get to Devin Booker in just a second, so let me just put him on the brief back burner. I started off watching the game today, and I saw the Valley Court, and I saw the, this obviously the Suns in their jerseys, but it almost felt like a TikTok edit or like an Instagram edit, where they put like a somber song over what the old was and now what the new was, and I'm seeing Dylan Brooks in number 3, and I'm like, you're not Chris Paul and Jordan Goodwin in 23. And I'm like, you're not Cam Johnson. And at the beginning, I felt a little sad. Like I was legitimately a little like down about it. I was like, man, these jerseys, this court, this feels wrong. This feels like a sad breakup that happened that we should not have went back to, but we really want to because we only remembered the good times. And I felt, I really wasn't sure how I felt. I don't think it was great. It wasn't a positive reaction. The jersey in court looked awesome, but I just kept on going back to Game 7 of the 2022 NBA Finals or Game 7 of the 2022 NBA Western Conference Semifinals or the 2021 NBA Finals. And I'm like, wow, we had some good times in those jerseys. We had some good times on that court. And it took you back to there tonight. Tonight's win, I don't like to look back. I'm a frontward thinking person. I'm a windshield, I'm not a rear view mirror type of guy. So anytime people bring up the 2021 Suns or the 2022 Suns, I almost always tell them it's in the past. We're done. We made our bed and we're lying in it. It didn't work out. It sucks that it didn't work out. It always feels like the one that got away, but it's better to move on. Tonight was a sentimental, nostalgic feeling of a team just going belt to ass against an inferior opponent. And I told you, I feel very vindicated this year, guys. I don't try to be someone I'm not. I trust my eyes. And what am I batting? 100% this year on Suns takes, Suns predictions? Said Devin Booker would be an MVP level candidate. He is right now. I said the Suns would be a top 10 defensive team. They are right now. I said Jordan Goodwin the Suns should sign Jordan Goodwin. And then I doubled down on it and said he offers more to this team than Jared Butler does. He should make the team over them. Didn't get the Oso Iguodala thing. I also talked about how Grayson Allen might just start. I also talked about how Grayson Allen should probably just start for the Suns team because he works better next to Devin Booker. It was not a slight at Jalen Green at all. But now I'm like, okay, Jalen Green and Grayson Allen should both start. Having a very good year. I don't try to be someone I'm not analytically. I don't try to fool you into thinking I'm grinding the game film after and, oh, what's this pick play look like? I understand basketball. I've been watching it for a long time. I don't want to be a nerd about it. Other people can do that. Geek out over the stats. Nothing wrong with that. That's not me. I watch the games. I tell you how I feel, and we'll see if it comes true. All of those things feel very right now. I've been wrong about something, sure. But one of my big predictions was Devin Booker finishes top 6 in MVP voting. I think, and I also voted Devin Booker 13th on our Locked On NBA Top 100. And I had someone tell me the other day, I think it was Espo of PHNX Suns. Good dude, have a great relationship with Espo. Good show, love those dudes. I'm actually, playing Eric Ruby in a game one-on-one basketball tomorrow. But I put something out with Devin Booker, and he was like, is this Booker thing just like the hating Booker thing just a bit? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, again, respectfully, it's just a sports take. It's nothing personal. But I was like, the Suns told you in the offseason what they thought of Devin Booker, a super max superstar player. So I'm going to hold him to that. You don't have to. No one else has to. But I'm going to do that. It's what the Suns told me to do, so I'm going to do that. Devin Booker did something tonight that he hasn't had the real opportunity to do because of the injuries and that happened tonight. But he also hasn't done the thing tonight that he freaking did, man. Jalen Green doesn't play in this game. Probably their second best shot creator. Not probably, he is. Grayson Allen goes out early in this game, only played 12 minutes. That leaves you with Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks, who's playing really well tonight. So without two of your top three shot makers, Devin Booker being number one, the game got close. It should have never been that close, but some officiating miscues, whatever. Devin Booker, without his two other scoring options, games within 10, shots are still falling, but you're losing guys left and right here. When he decided, no Jalen Green, no Grayson Allen, get on my back, let's just put this thing away. By God, is that what I've been waiting for with Devin Booker? And just so we're clear, like, this is not like Booker's finally turning it around. He's been awesome this year. Efficiency-wise, from three-point land, he's been great. But it's the little things with superstars, super max contracts that I'm looking for from one Devin Booker. And again, he's been awesome this year outside of like the first 3 games of the season. And this is why I hold him to that high of a standard, because he can do it. And it doesn't matter. They're throwing double teams at him. Okay, I'll just find Jordan Goodwin open for a 3, making offense for someone else. That's playmaking. The thing that was so nostalgic, and this is less analysis and more nostalgia, it was in the third quarter. I can't remember exactly when it was. Late in the third quarter, when the Suns are going on this massive run, Devin Booker comes up, hits a pull-up 3 in transition, and I'm saying to myself, holy cow, am I in 2021? Big bucket after big bucket when other players who also are good shot creators aren't there because of injuries. That's what your superstar player does. Says, all right, things are getting not even out of hand. Things are getting a little uncomfortable. They're staying within striking distance. You let a team hang around long enough, it could bite you in the ass. Booker said, this one's on me. This one's on me. Get on my back. Give me the ball. I'll make some buckets. I'll hit a transition 3. I'll get to the rim. I'll get in Jackson. I think it was Isaiah Jackson. I think that was his name. I want to make sure I don't get his name wrong. Gets in Isaiah Jackson's face, former Kentucky guy, and just let him have it. Or I'm sorry, it was Isaiah Jackson. I was right there. Isaiah Jackson in this game, former Kentucky guy as well, just jawing at him. And you're like, where the hell am I? That was the pinnacle of Devin Booker tonight. And the Suns getting more of that was obviously shown in the box score. His, mini run by himself in that third quarter, then transitioned into a 20-0 run in the fourth quarter. When your superstar's rolling, other guys feel like, okay, double, triple teams headed his way. It's open bucket land for me. And you saw that tonight from some of the guys. Jordan Goodwin, again, Jordan Goodwin guy over Jared Butler guy. That's me. Raise my hand right here. 2 for 3 tonight, hit a big 3. Also had 9 rebounds in this game, 5 assists. Grayson Allen was really great in this game. He was 5 for 6, 1 for 2 from 3, but again, got injured. We'll talk about that in just a second, what people should feel about that. Devin Booker, 7 assists, but even bigger than that, even bigger than all that. One thing that Devin Booker has not been great at this year is taking care of the basketball. Now, he's the number 1 option. How big is the gap from 1 to 2? He's going to turn the ball over a little bit more. But not 5-7 turnovers a game. Can we cut that to 2, to 3? And tonight, he had 1 turnover tonight. Took care of the basketball, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, found his spots. Just overall dynamic stuff from the Suns' supermax player. And it's exactly why I hold him to that high of a standard. Because Devin Booker is good enough to take this team into the play-in. And he's good enough to win the play-in tournament. Like, I'm not saying he's good enough to be your number 1 to win an NBA championship. I'm not claiming that. But what he does is top 15 players in the NBA stuff. Right now, he's playing like a top 10 NBA player. He's playing like a top 10 NBA player. Right now, he's playing like a top 10 guy. Best game of the season from Devin Booker. Best game of the season. Maybe not statistically, but my eyes don't lie to me. That was really impressive. Down 2 of your 3 best shot creators. Nah, I got this, guys. Hop on my back.
The NFL season is rolling along, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet in the moment. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
The Cavs lost to Toronto last night in what I think is their worst performance of the season so far.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
The Cleveland Cavaliers lost on Thursday night to the Toronto Raptors, 126-113, and I thought that this was the worst game the Cavs have played so far this year. And yes, they had lost 4 games prior to this one, coming into Thursday night. They had the loss Monday in Miami, which I don't think was like a very poorly played game. I think they played well at times. I think they played poorly at times. And I think that they made some bad mistakes down the stretch. You can look at the loss they had against the New York Knicks on opening night. I didn't think that was that bad of a loss. I thought they played okay. You can look at the game that they lost against Boston. That was close to being as bad of a loss as this one. But ultimately, I think that this is the worst loss the Cavs have had so far this season. And I also don't think it's that big of a deal because the Cavs didn't look good in any way, shape, or form on Thursday night. They were out-hustled by the Toronto Raptors every time Toronto needed to hit a big shot, because the Cavs do deserve a little bit of credit, not a ton, but a little bit of credit that they at times, particularly in that third quarter, fought pretty hard to make it a game. Like they were trailing 90-85 going into the fourth quarter. I'm sitting there just thinking, how are they only down by 5? Like it feels like they have been so massively outplayed. And from that point on, Toronto hit every big shot and the Cavs could not hit big shots. This was a team, to me, that was wearing Cavs jerseys, but was not the Cleveland Cavaliers. And there are some things that you want to nitpick, and I can get on board with that being an issue. And I want to talk about how they need to do a better job of dictating the style of the game that's played. And I want to talk about how Evan Mobley needs to be better, particularly after he got a night off, and Donovan Mitchell needs to be better after he got a night off on Wednesday night. All of those things are true. But the thing that I keep coming back to, and unfortunately, this is the thing that nobody wants to hear, but it's the truth, is this was, for the Cavs, their 5th game in 7 nights. They have 2 instances on the schedule this year where they play 5 games in 7 nights, and that's a tough draw. And the immediate response is always, yeah, well, Donovan Mitchell didn't play all 5 games. Evan Mobley didn't play all 5 games. Darius Garland obviously didn't play on Thursday night either. Lonzo Ball didn't play on Thursday night either. Like, those things are true, and those things are fair. But when you have a schedule the way the Cavs have had lately, and it's more than just about the games, it's about where you play them and who you play them against, that I think matters. Because the one area where I just thought the Raptors absolutely decimated the Cavs was their ability to just beat Cleveland down the floor over and over and over again. The Raptors outscored the Cavs in the fast break category on Thursday, 28-6. The Raptors on fast break attempts were 12 of 15 from the field. The Cavs were 2 of 9. The Raptors were a team that wanted to, I think, as a point of emphasis, beat the Cavs down the floor over and over and over again. It didn't matter if it was off of a missed shot attempt by the Cavs or a made shot attempt by the Cavs. They wanted to turn this into a track meet. And the Cavaliers are capable of doing that. That is not when they're at their best. And I think that is something that we do need to talk about. But the Raptors did a great job of that, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. When it is a team's 5th game in 7 nights, that is an opportunity when one team is rested, which Toronto was in Cleveland long before the Cavs were in Cleveland for this game. It's an opportunity for Toronto to take advantage there, and they did that, and they deserve credit for it. Now, why I think this is a bigger issue than just being 5 games in 7 nights is because the Cavs have not been able to dictate the style of play. And that's why I think even in wins, the Cavs it hasn't felt like the Cavs have been playing, I think, what we view as Cavs basketball. They haven't stylistically looked like themselves, even in games that they've won. I don't think that this year they've done a good enough job dictating the terms of the basketball game. And I think that last year they made teams try and play their game. And this year it feels like, because and I understand this to some extent, although I think it needs to sort of course correct here. Last year, it felt like they made teams play their game. This year, it almost feels like they're trying to beat opponents at the game the opponents want to play. And as you go through the 5 games that they just played in 7 nights, because we've talked a lot, and I know that, there wasn't an episode immediately after Saturday's game, but we've talked a lot over the past week or so. Let's think about the teams that they've played. They started the stretch with a game in Washington. The Washington Wizards are not a very good basketball team. They are one of the worst basketball teams in the entire NBA. But you know what the Washington Wizards are? They are a fast basketball team. The Wizards came into Thursday night third in the NBA in pace, averaging 103.86 possessions per game. That number would have been the fastest team in basketball last year, would have been the number 1 pace in basketball. The day after that, they played the Chicago Bulls. What do the Chicago Bulls want to do? They want to get up and down the floor. The Bulls are number 4 in pace in the NBA so far this year. And then they have a day off on Sunday. They go to Miami for 2 games against the Heat. The Miami Heat are the number 1 team in pace in basketball this year, averaging 106.7 possessions per game. They are playing faster than anybody else. So it's not just that the Cavs have played 5 games in 7 nights, but it's that the Cavs played these games. And by the way, Toronto came into the game on Thursday ranked 10th in pace. This game actually, it's difficult to think of it this way because the pace of this game was actually very slow, despite how well the Raptors were able to get up and down the floor. The Cavs tried to slow this game down. It just didn't quite work because they couldn't hit shots. When you try and slow the game down and you shoot 24% from beyond the arc, it's just not going to work. But the Cavs haven't been able to play at their own pace in any of those 4 games. Let's not even look at what happened on Thursday night. Look at the 4 games prior. You could maybe make the case Wednesday was closer to the Cavs' pace. Monday was not. Saturday was not. And Friday, the Wizards stink, but that game was played at a very fast pace. So the Cavs entered Thursday 5th in the NBA in pace. Now, the Cavs should not be near the bottom of the league. They shouldn't be where they were when JB Bickerstaff was the head coach. They should be a upper middle of the pack team. They should be somewhere, in my opinion, between 10 and 15. I think that's a healthy place for the Cavs to be in terms of pace, because for how frequently they play with 2 bigs on the floor, whether it's Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, maybe it's Larry Nance Jr. sometimes. We saw some Thomas Bryant minutes on Thursday night. The Cavs are going to have 2 bigs on the floor pretty frequently and will always have at least 1 big on the floor. So it is hard to be a track meet style team. That's not who the Cavs want to be. It's not who the Cavs should be. But over the last week, they've played these games like they are a track meet style team. And that's not a healthy place for them. And I think that is the one thing that really did catch up to them on Thursday night. And yes, Donovan Mitchell didn't play Wednesday. Theoretically, his legs were a little bit fresher. And I think that he kind of he was not making shots from the outside. And he did turn the ball over too many times. He went 2 of 9 from 3 and he had 7 turnovers. But what he did was try and get to the free throw line, because he's the one guy that the Cavs have right now that had fresher legs and is capable of getting downhill, because everybody else had played a bunch, especially last night. The guys they're counting on, when you look at Craig Porter Jr., Sam Merrill, Tyrese Proctor, those guys all played last night, and there's no Darius Garland. There's a lot on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders, and his final line, he had 31, 6 and 5 or 6 and 6. That's fine. This didn't feel like a good Donovan Mitchell game, and I think he would agree with that. But I think that he had to make it a point of emphasis to try and get downhill, to try and get to the free throw line, because there wasn't much else that was working. Evan Mobley had the night off on Wednesday. I thought he had his worst game of the season on Thursday, coming off of that night of rest. I did not think he was aggressive enough. The shot obviously didn't fall. The fact that he played 35 minutes and only took 7 shots, I think it is an unacceptable thing. And I do think that the rest of the group, like, I'm not going to make the excuse for those two in particular about fatigue because they didn't play on Wednesday. Now, it doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden like 100% ready to go, because you do have to think back to, okay, well, yes, the entire group got back from Miami at about 2:30 in the morning is when the plane landed on Thursday morning back from Miami. And that is something that, again, very few people want to listen to because you just want to yell about the Cavs losing a basketball game. But it is something that does matter. And overall, I thought that this was a group that looked tired. They looked tired because of the schedule, and they looked tired because they haven't been playing Cavs basketball. And that, to me, is the thing that sticks out about this game. That's the thing to me that kind of sticks out about what this season has looked like so far. And that, to me, is the thing that needs to change. They're going to lose games this year. They are. They might not win 65 games. They'll still be fine when the playoffs roll around. But in order for them to be fine, they need to get back to their identity. That is the thing that we've not seen frequently enough. We didn't see it at all on Thursday night. We've not seen it very often. We saw it against Philadelphia. We saw it against Washington, but Washington stinks. We've seen it, these little bits and spurts, but we've not seen it consistently enough. So far this year, it has felt to me like the Cavs are trying to beat opponents at their own games. And the Cavs are talented enough to do it at times. They can't do it every single night. They're not equipped to do it every single night. They are not a track meet type of team. They should be, as I said, an above average pace team, but they shouldn't be a top 5, top 7 pace team in the league. That's not how this roster is built. What they need to do is get back to playing Cavs basketball. I think if there's one thing to be disappointed about so far this year, it's that they have allowed opponents to dictate the way the basketball game has been played stylistically. That, to me, is the number one thing that needs to change. And yes, I think Darius Garland will help that. And yes, I think that Max Strus, when he gets back, will help that. Those things are part of this conversation, certainly. But I also don't think that this frequently they should be playing a different style. Do they need to be malleable? Do they need to be able to play different types of styles to be able to win at the highest level? Of course they do. But they need to be able to have their own identity to fall back on. And that identity, I don't think, has been present enough